welcome back to the 7th Esports World Championship, coming to you live from the Nexon Arena here in Seoul, South Korea. My name is Reed Rapid Melton. Of course, joining me once again is Justin Song. How's it going, Justin?
I'm doing fine. That was a great match that we just saw between China and Russia, and China had a great showing, very dominant in their gameplay.
Yeah, I think dominant's a little bit of an understatement for that last win. Incredibly well played, and going to be looking forward to seeing China play in their games tomorrow. But coming up next, we've actually got a little bit of an underdog story as Israel kind of rising to this challenge. They are going to be facing off against Switzerland, and the Swiss team has been incredible to watch. I got a chance to catch one of their last games yesterday, and this team is dominant. They're made out of challenger players from their country, and now facing off against Israel. Israel, a team that actually had a lot of difficulties coming out of the group stages. They actually advanced out of their group stages with a -1 record, so they were 1-2 coming out of groups. They were in a three-way tie, and in their three-way tie, they actually wound up winning that based on the tiebreaker rules, which are they determine how fast you win when you win, and then how slow you lose when you lose. So like how tenacious you are. And they certainly have fought all the way here and do deserve their place on stage. It'll be interesting to see how they face off against this very strong Swiss team.
Yeah, personally, I always love that underdog story. Israel coming in here from a three-way tie, making it to quarterfinals now against Switzerland, who has been a very strong team throughout this entire tournament. Didn't get to catch any of their games, but from what I've been hearing, their team synergy is very strong.
Yeah, it's not necessarily about like individual carries, but you can see their matchups right here. It's going to be Extra Angel versus Yama Koala with a hat. Big fan of that name. Versus Mihmud, and Shockwave in the mid lane versus Laggedly. There we go. That's going to be the matchup I'm going to watch. Shockwave has been a really big source of strength there, and I'm excited to see how that works out. And then, of course, the duo lanes, Crack and Min SC versus Pride and Wild Joshi. Of course, some big fans of Wild Joshi. I think a couple of them tweeted at me earlier and were like, hey, that guy's pretty good. So I'm super excited to watch this game and get this underway. And I was actually talking to the Israelis as they were preparing for this match. It was like, it's really cool to see a nation that while nationally they actually have some pretty decent esports events, like really big events there, they don't get quite the exposure that other regions of the world do. So it's really exciting to see them on a stage this large here at the 7th Esports World Championship.
And it is a region that has produced some world level talent. If you guys know, Broken Shard is actually from Israel also, and has talked a lot about that in a lot of his videos. So yeah, I'm very excited to see how this Israel team, coming all the way from Israel to Korea, how they're going to perform here.
Yeah, I think all the way is something that goes for most of the teams that are traveling here. Just interesting to see, like, as an international tournament, so many countries being represented here. Upwards of 20. We have over 200 esports athletes coming around the globe to compete here at the Esports World Championships here in Seoul, South Korea. And it's been just great to get a chance to meet them. I had K-Barbecue with the Australian representatives last night. It was super cool. They get a chance to just like hang out with some of these esports players and get a chance to really realize how global a lot of these esports are. So we're setting up for our first match here between these next two teams. Israel still getting into the lobby and seeing if we can get everything underway. But while we are working on that, just give a little bit of a chance to recap Israel and their trip here through. I explained it a little bit hastily earlier. So if you guys don't understand how the tiebreaker situation works, so the way that Israel worked, they won their match versus Mongolia, but then they lost their match versus Serbia, and then they eventually wound up coming back. They lost their match versus Mongolia and Serbia, and then they won their match versus Chinese Taipei, which gave them a 1-2 score. Now, ultimately, that was a three-way tie towards the end of their bracket, but the biggest thing about that was that they actually took a long, long time to lose their games that they did lose. So because that was so long, when they averaged that in, it gave them a higher game time in their losses, and that was what tipped the scales in their favor and took them here to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, very tough road for them, Israel, especially compared to Switzerland, who came up to this quarterfinals with a 3-0 record, dominating their individual groups. So.
Yeah, big differences between these teams. You have Switzerland who pretty much cruised through their group. The game that I got a chance to watch after hours yesterday was is pretty good. Let's put it that way. And especially the duo lane is going to be exciting to watch for Switzerland. But for Israel, like I said, I'm going to be really excited for that mid lane matchup. Of course, we'll have to see how things transpire. I know a couple of big differences for the Chinese games today as opposed to yesterday. Their coordination just pretty much exponentially increasing over the course of just a night, having to sit down, get a chance to plan everything out. That really changed for them. So it's going to be exciting to see what changes for Israel as they face off here today, just knowing that they had a lot of mental struggles yesterday. Some technical difficulties in their first game really sort of set them on, not quite on tilt, but it was not a very strong emotional start for them. I was actually talking to one of their managers, and he was like, he's trying to hype them up, but it's just such a struggle to start those games off with a loss, and then able to come back and, lose their next game. And so you're like, well, now we're down 2-0. Can we get out of the group? Well, it turns out, yes, we can there in the very end. So it's actually pretty exciting to see their trip all the way here to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, to talk about Israel a little bit more, I saw their games. Some of the team composition were a little bit all over the place. I feel like they did work on that coming into this game, so I feel like they have improved on that aspect. And again, always want to talk about in these best of 3 series, it's about how you adapt between individual games, right? So as you have mentioned, if their manager's trying to hype them up, trying to get this thing going on, it's going to be on the players now to think about their core strengths and weaknesses and utilize that and make adaptations based on that. So
right, we actually saw a lot of that in our first game, our first series of the day, as China were really strong at banning away Blorin's champion pool, and then Russia not quite as strong at denying that Gangplank pick that just ran over Russia in game number 2. So some really strong adaptation there by China. We'll see if there's adaptation here as soon as we get everybody into the game. Looks like most of the players are in the lobby ready to go, still waiting on a couple more to go ahead and hop into order. Sometimes the most difficult part of the game is getting into the lobby initially. So we'll see if we can get everyone in there.
Yeah, I just heard that we haven't done the coin toss. There has been a problem with the coin toss. So coin toss here decides whether you're going to get the blue side or the red side first. So once we get that sorted out and everyone joins the game, then we can move on from that point on. So.
All right, yeah, problems with coin tosses. It's like you flip it and it lands right on its edge, and you're like, well, who really predicts that, right? I don't know how that works out, but either way, it's still going to get that coin toss. And actually, in the case of a game number 3, we'll actually do another coin toss for the 3rd game to determine map sides. So it's a little bit interesting. Nice to get as much coin flipping as possible. And we'll have a lot of coin flips in some of the other esports that we have coming up a little bit later on today. So nice to see a little bit of RNG there determining which side you start out on. Maybe that's starts you out on a favorable side, you get a win, and that starts your momentum going. But we'll see how well that works out here as we do get that worked out and then get all the players into the lobby.
I just love this player Koala would have had. Maybe it's because of the name or maybe how he plays, but he has been very impressive in terms of, with me, just in generally, personally speaking. But man, I love that name.
Yeah, Wild Josh is really going to be the one that I want to look out for. So Koala with a hat, sure, he's got some points for his name, but we'll see how well that bottom lane does. And of course, you can't deny mid lane. That's really what I'm excited for. Shockwave there for Israel is going to make a big impact in there, or at least theoretically, based on past performances, should be a power player to watch. So that's one of the really cool things for me is like a lot of these players aren't very well known, at least outside their home region. So coming here to a big stage like IESF gives them a lot of exposure, and it's not only exposure to fans or people watching like you guys, but also to casters like myself. It's really interesting to see different styles emerge. We've had very unique picks. Like yesterday, we had like a Quinn Anivia bottom lane, which was a whole lot of flapping. Sometimes it kind of took a nosedive, but you know what? It's a composition I wouldn't have expected to see, and it's really interesting to see how those work out. However, for Israel specifically, like they bring a very diverse style. So I was talking to them, and apparently most of the players play on EU West. I was actually expecting to see them play on the Turkish servers because they're closer geographically, but they actually get about like 70, 80 ping to EU West from Israel, which was kind of blew my mind. But apparently there's like super high-powered internet cables that run like directly to Europe, and that's how they get really decent ping despite being from a region that doesn't have its own server.
And that's great for this team because the US is generally where all the major players in European servers play, so that gets them a lot of exposure to more professional level players and the higher level challenger players.
Looks like all the players are ready to go, so we're about to get into picks and bans for game number 1, our second best of 3 of the day as Israel takes on Switzerland. And here we are, champion picks and bans. You can see Switzerland there on the blue side, the left-hand side of your screen, facing off against Israel in the red on the right. Picks and bans about to start here, and you can see there Mina C on your screen, support player for Israel. Still thinking about those picks and bans. About 5 seconds to decide on what they want to take out of the running.
There are a lot of first bans that can happen. I want to see if they want to try to ban specific champions and try to limit someone's champion pool, or just outright ban OP champions. But Lulu ban coming out. Jax also had a great showing in these tournament in general. Very strong champion in terms of split pushing once he gets ahead. And with that Guinness Rage Blade, and we saw Blade coming out as itemization. So, but now it's been banned. We're looking to see what they banned second in the blue team right now.
All right, you can see Crack there communicating about what his team wants to take out of the running there. Dr. Mundo being banned there. You saw a very strong performance from our first Dr. Mundo showing in our first series there, being played by China, but not going to see that in this one as it is banned out there. And Elise Sin, nice to see some focus on Koala with a hat, not going to give him one of his better champions.
Yeah, he had a great showing with Lee Sin. It's one of his more comfort picks. Taking that away limits his champion pool a little bit, but there's still junglers available. If they decide not to ban any junglers at this point from either side of the team, then they still have Elise and Kindred up. So
now I can only assume that Karma is going to be their target ban, as you don't necessarily see too many Karmas out there. You do see too many Tom Kenches. One is too many.
However, I've seen a lot of composition being run with Karma support, especially running someone like Ash or Misfortune as AD carry recently in scrims and stuff like that. So maybe it's a meta pick. They're first picking Rek'Sai here, trying to take away that jungle away, but at least still available. So let's see what they take in their first rotation, the purple team in Israel right now.
Okay, yeah, first rotation's going to come through. They give away Rek'Sai to the Swiss team, but now what is Israel going to pick up here? We talked about their mid lane priority and how that is something that might come out here, but they don't really want to pick that right off the bat blind, so strong picks that are still available. Pretty much anything up on the top half of that. You got Fiora available, Gangplank available, both big champions in our previous series. But it looks like they're going to go for some bottom lane strength on Israel's side.
Since the junglers have been already picked on the Switzerland team, they could go show their jungler and try to hide their laners, or they could try to prioritize picks that are strong in lane or just very strong in general in this meta, like Gangplank, Ryze, Lissandra. We'll see what they go with.
All right, so they're going to go ahead and lock in the duo lane most likely here. You can see Israel locking that in. Now, they don't know what duo lane they're going up against, so just going for overall strength there. Lucian, a pretty overall strong AD carries. Goes very well with the new itemization. Essence Reaver, super good to build there, and of course with Alistar to help him out. Alistar's super good too, especially considering that every time you heal an ally, you give them percentage resistances as well now if you go for that mastery point. But
Alistar definitely a top tier support in this meta, along with Fresh Tom Kench. Janna, Caitlyn.
Speaking of top tier supports, that is a devastating combo. I think we actually saw that yesterday as well.
Yeah, from what I remember, it didn't work out as well as it should have had, but I remember it was against a Vayne lane, but
right, and so Caitlyn already fares pretty well in that matchup anyway, but oh man, that's another pick we actually just forgot to talk about during bans, is the Kindred.
Oh, well, I actually talked about that after, was it Lee Sin was banned, but because both top tier junglers are still available. As I mentioned, Rek'Sai, Elise, Kindred. Kindred can come in here right now, but then they would need a hard CC in both top, mid, and bot lane in order to synergize the Kindred damage when he ganks. So
Right, you do need hard CC. I mean, Kindred's got a slow, but turns out it's really good if you just lock someone down and let Wolf go to work. So we'll see if that is actually the lock-in here for Israel. It would be a pretty decent power pick, but you do need CC to back it up. And hey, I heard Malphite's pretty good CC if you do want to go for Kindred, but it looks like they're actually just going to double up on the crowd control and hit an Elise jungle pick there as well.
Yeah, so I feel like they're trying to, with the Malphite pick here, very good team fight, very high utility on his ultimate. His laning's a little bit subpar compared to other champions, but it's not about winning the lane, it's about lasting in the lane and making plays in other sides of the map. So at least try to put more emphasis on the mid lane. I don't know what the pick is yet. We're seeing Azure being hovered over with Rumble. Rumble, of course, has a huge mid-game power spike. Both Azure and Anivia create zones, so this is also a very zone-oriented composition. Create zones for Caitlyn so he can deal free damage while Janna protects that Caitlyn.
Wow, okay, well that's going to be a real big change from the champions they were hovering over. Still like a kind of control mage for the mid lane, a lot of wave clear on both Azir and this Anivia that's getting locked in for Switzerland. Yeah. But the Anivia more of a comfort pick there than Azir, I feel. So it would be interesting to see how that synergizes with the lineup as Anar is also brought into play there for Yama up in the top lane. And this brings it down to the last pick for Israel, where they lock in their final one.
Victor, strong lane clear, good team fight, scales very well to like him, very easy pick to take in these sort of situations. Not sure how it does against Anivia. I feel like it goes half and half even in the side of the Victor a little bit more. But then again, this team comp that Team Switzerland has picked right now is similar to the comp that we saw in the previous game that Russia ran, where they try to create zones for the AD carry in team fights so that their front line can get back behind our back line and try to make team fights off of that for sustained damage from the AD carry. However, from purple side, from the Team Israel, we do have Malphite, which negates all these zoning from Anivia wall and Gnar ult and stuff like that, so they can dive that backline immediately.
Yeah, it just screams hard engage here from the Israeli team. You've got Malphite, you've got Alistar, can just combo off of each other, tons of knockups. Surprised there's not a Yasuo in there, but a really strong team composition formed there by Israel as far as team fighting goes. But it's going to be interesting to see how these counter-engaged mechanics work with things like, Mega Gnar. You don't really want to jump right into his loving arms, but that's going to do it for champion picks and bans between Switzerland and Israel. I'm super excited to get our second best of 3 here underway. We're loading into the game, so hope you guys are ready to enjoy some more League of Legends. Here's Israel takes on Switzerland. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Want to welcome you back to Game 1 between Israel and Switzerland here at the 7th Esports World Championship League of Legends quarterfinals. We've got both teams ready to go out onto the rifts. Switzerland will be your team on the left-hand side in the blue versus Israel on the right in the red, starting things out. A little bit of a safe spread from both sides.
In terms of team composition, I'm very excited how this match is going to play out. Both teams have their own vendetta and they're very individualized and they have characters in their team composition. They know what they want to do. They have weakness and strength individually. And I feel like Israel countered that very well. The zoning, Caitlyn free damage composition very well with that Malphite and Alistar. So I'm excited how this is going to turn out.
Big fan of the blue chroma pack on Lucian there. It looks super epic because he's walking around for no reason at all. Just trying to control the lower river. Of course, we've got a lot of control on both sides, but looks like already starting to group up here. Switzerland, they know their start. Well, we've seen, for instance, China, every single game they like to go for that deep invade, the 5-man invade to get the lane swap ward out there and then roam back to their own jungle. That's their start. Well, for Switzerland, their start is safe. They like like to just play it safe, go for standard lanes most of the time. In fact, I don't think they've run a lane swap this tournament, but I haven't gotten stats on that for a couple of their games. But safe starts, you pick a way to start the game, and it looks like we are going to have a duo lane do the Krugs before they run to lane. Now, this isn't something that we see commonly anymore, at least not on this 5.23 patch.
It depends where the jungler starts. The Rek'Sai is starting in the top lane, so they're just because this composition focuses heavily on Caitlyn doing a lot of damage in the team fight, they're trying to focus more on the bot lane in the early to mid game. So we see Rek'Sai starting on that top side jungle, so he can move down for the level 3 gank at the bottom. And bot lane starts out with an experience advantage, so he's going to hit that level 2 spike faster, can poke out harder. Janna, Caitlyn, very hard lane to deal with in general.
All right, so it'll be interesting to see how well the jungle pathing goes, how that times in with those level 2 power spikes down towards the bottom half of the map. We're about to see him hit. Yep, there we go on both sides. Level 2 coming out, but actually Lucian pushing this lane a little bit more quickly there with MinSC to help him out. He's going to shove the wave into turret and actually costing a couple of CS there. So nice to see an advantage there. Lucian should theoretically be stronger at lane, at least previously, but this is a brand new Caitlyn that he's working up against. It can be very strong if you can set up all your traps really quickly.
It's strong in laning, especially strong once you get that 3 core items. It's very unstoppable Caitlyn. Just with that range, there's no way to get to that backline. But then again, as mentioned before, they do have a Malphite.
Yeah, I was going to say, Malphite makes all AD carries, like, you got super mobile AD carries like Ezreal, like Arcane shift away, maybe you got Vayne, and all of a sudden you crowd control them, you Malphite ult them, and they're just plain dead. You're like, where's your mobility now? So we'll see if that 90 caliber nets enough calibers to get Caitlyn out of harm's way once we get to team fights. But right now we're just in the lane phase.
Yeah,
so.
And then once we get to team fights, it'll be very important that
top lane, we might have a successful gank coming in here. Minimood trying to land that cocoon, jump just barely away from Malphite, pretty out of mana here, so there's a lot of damage to come down towards Yama, but won't be too much follow-up there from Malphite. Mid lane, though, Shockwave actually taking a lot of damage. There's the Ignite coming down there. There's going to be a cleanse there. No Frost to double the damage there on Frostbite, so Laggy won't be able to grab that kill.
Yeah, both Summoner Spell burn for both mid laners right there. Gang coming in here from Koala, you know that he has no Summoner Spells left.
There's the flash, there's the knock-up, and going to get a little bit of help there from Laggy, but Rek'Sai deserves all the credit from that. Koala putting a hat on himself, running through mid lane and grabbing the first kill of the game. That's going to go over to Switzerland.
Now, Rek'Sai started from top side, as I have mentioned before, and then he was in the mid to bottom range, so he was able to follow up on that immediately. Great synergy from the mid to jungle, and you see here trying to duel out in the jungle right now.
Oh man, Minimood, a couple more auto attacks and he was dead, but better safe than sorry. Koala with the hat's just safe. Glad to secure himself a berth in his opponent's jungle. And while Josh has just been wanting this gold, so he'll shield himself, run forward, take a bunch of damage, but it's just damage that's coming into his shield. Get all that gold coming his way. And in case you guys, oh man, the double knockup from MinSC, really great combo in there, but not a whole lot of follow-up there and a ton of minions to put the damage right back on him.
Yeah, things are looking for Team Switzerland right now. The bot lane's winning without any jungle pressure, so that's just the lane that they're just going to leave it alone. Mid lane, you saw immediate follow-up from the jungler to try to snowball that. Anivia usually itemizes tier into Roa, or Roa and tier at the same time, so before that power spike is very acceptable to ganks, especially to gank junglers like Elise, but we have not seen her show up in mid lane just yet.
Yeah, and mid lane has been just mid laners fighting there. Like you said, all those summoners burned early on. So I'm kind of surprised not to see more jungle pressure there because they know that, I mean, it's not really too much to worry about. Now, Anivia will have that Ignite up right about the same time that Shockwave gets his cleanse. So once those come back up, some more versatility, but taking a look at where these junglers are heading, it looks like a lot of pressure down towards bottom lane possible. Nope, Minimood's actually churning this around into a mid lane gank. If he can land this cocoon here, Laggy will be in a lot of trouble. Cocoon does hit there, does land. There's the gravity field. Looks like Laggy should be okay as he just walks back to his
the
turret.
laser was used preemptively, and Anivia still does have her passive, so she can still push up the lane a little bit more. Once she has hit 6, her lane clear is going to be a lot better.
Bottom lane, not quite the combo you were looking for there, Alistar. Goes forward, uses his skills, and backs back away.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure if Elise going topside for the gank for Gnar was a really good choice. I mean, even if she lands the cocoon, I don't think there's enough damage output coming from Malphite against Nard to actually pull off that kill. Maybe they could have burned Flash. They didn't either, so. But then Rek'Sai did manage to get a kill, so that's why they're ahead right now at this point. Smart jungle passing.
Yeah. We really haven't seen too much from top lane or heard too much out of them either. It's basically Malphite is running super. He traditionally would build super tanky and then just try to sustain through the Gnar damage. But this time around, Malphite's actually going aggressive. There's a flash for a cocoon. Not going to pay off there. To be fair, we did have a Malphite ultimate available. If Xrangel wanted to go in for that, may have been able to set that up a little bit better. But
he was seconds away from Mega Gnar. He still had flash. So now here we see a gank coming here from Rek'Sai. Koala would have had Gnar ult coming in. Knockup from Rek'Sai. Smited, slowed.
Yeah, almost pretty low here, but with Minimoon coming back in around for yet another gank, there's the flash. The damage is good enough. Malphite at AP putting it down for the first kill of the game for Israel. Mid lane, though, we've got a lot more damage there. The gravity field stun on the Laggly isn't enough damage. He's going into end form. Shockwave out of health, out of mana, and can't finish off the kill.
Yeah, passive down for Anivia right now. And just wanted to talk about that kill in the top lane. You see, Malphite actually has an Amp Tomb for a second item with Doran's Ring.
It was Corrupting Potion into Doran's Ring into Amp Tome, so it was like, that's a lot of damage. I was looking towards top lane, I was like, alright, this is going to be that tanky matchup for Malphite, and he's going to go build these defense. And no, he's going all in for the damage, and it was actually really impressive to see just the Flash Q able to go in there and pick up the kill. Yeah,
I did not think that he was going to hit, like going to kill that Gnar, but tons of damage coming out of that with all that AP scaling. We just saw Janna use her ult. Maybe there was a pretty missed trade going on at bot lane. Caitlyn needed to. She has both summoner spells down, so.
That's kind of like when you, if you're like leveling and you're super low level, and your support brings heal, you drop down to like below half HP in lane, your support's like, alright, I got this. Summoner heal. And it's like, wow, that summoner heal for lane sustain. That's pretty much what that Janna ult was. Like, hey, my AD carry is pretty low. Let's just go ahead, drop the Monsoon, heal him up, and make sure that everything is good to go there at the bottom lane.
So no summoners for Caitlyn right now. Heal used for Lucian and Alistar with no summoners, and Janna with no ignite in the bot lane. So Caitlyn a little bit more susceptible to Headbutt Pulverize at this moment right now, but should be fine with her E.
And it should be noted that neither one of these teams are running Exhaust as a summoner spell. We've got 3 Ignites, and then of course the Cleanse there on Shockwave, so not going to be really mitigating a whole lot of damage, just looking to put out even more with so many Ignites being run. Usually you see heavy Ignite team comps against teams that rely heavily on healing, so against something, well, previously like a Soraka, now Grievous Wounds don't work that way, but it's going to be a little bit more pressure here towards the mid lane. There's a Chilling Smite to try to get Laggly in range in time. This is a really good gravity field. It's going to get Shockwave back to his turret safely.
Yeah, it's been a trend starting from pre-Worlds to run, actually a little bit longer than that, to run Ignite on support more than Exhaust, especially in competitive play. As of now, it feels like if they're not going to all in and get one-shot Caitlyn in teamfight, there's no point in exhausting her.
Minimu might be in a little bit of trouble. I don't know about that tunnel, but going right in on, gets the knock up the flash there away. Shockwave will get stunned by Anivia as he walks back into his jungle, but time for round 2. Koala with that, looking for another tunnel. There's the flash, there's the wall, the damage onto Shockwave. He's gonna get knocked up there, but not actually taking damage. There's Laggly gonna come in with a kill. Headbutts tear right into the Spider's waiting grass. Let's see if Minimu can get out of here. He's taking a lot of damage there from that frost. Couple more auto attacks. It's gonna be the Piltover Pacemaker stopping his heart.
Great play from both sides right now. I think they could have gotten for that kill earlier, but they decided to wait a little bit for Janna to walk up and for Caitlyn to walk up, and they were able to turn that fight around very effectively. Great wall usage by Anivia. I feel like he has a lot of understanding on this champion. So it's that mid lane matchup that you were looking for.
Yeah, 2 for 1 in Switzerland's favor. And to be fair, Israel do come out of that with a kill. They're starting to put some points on the board. This top lane AP Malphite, I don't know if that's the counter to Gnar we've all been looking for, but it's certainly one that Xrangel knows exactly how to play. So kind of interesting. I wouldn't have necessarily thought of that, but it's working out very, very well, especially after that first lane, that first flash Q kill that he was able to pick up, and now coming back to lane with even more magic penetration, so it'll be exciting to watch that lane unfold.
Haunting guys on Malphite is not something that I've seen frequently. I've seen it before. Usually for the AP item, Malphite usually tends to rush that tank item first and then maybe go for Abyssal if they have a lot of AP damage on the opposing team and build a little bit more damage for his ult and his skills also itself. But he seems to be winning lane even in CS against Nar, which should not be happening, to be honest. But
got to keep an eye on the top lane now. Xrangel does have a lot of damage, but can he find this all in? He's going to go for it. He's going to slap the ground. Is it enough damage? Yama is about to transform into Mega Gnar. Xrangel might go down there. The boomerang going to hit. He will flash away. Rek'Sai still taking up that turret, and he's not going to go down. Not going to get a kill either, but okay. Ilagally was trying to go for it. He's just going to grab some CS. But in the mid lane, though, while Anivia's roaming top lane, Shockwave and Nidamoo will roam back into the mid lane together. I guess it's not roaming if that's your lane anyway, but they're going to push the mid lane up, and we'll be able to take that turret. Or not. Koala got that hat on. He's coming into the mid lane. It's like if you were just playing a Koala, not scary at all, but as soon as you put that hat on, it gets devastating.
Because you don't know what kind of hat that he has. You don't know what he has under that hat also, but yeah. That fight at the top lane, yeah, we was talking about itemization of Malphite. Haunting guy is, of course, very high damage output compared to other tank items, but that means you are less tanky and more susceptible to death. You managed to get out of there, but
you have support versus support. Not a whole lot going on down there.
Probably going to heal off Targons and heal.
Yeah, I was going to say, Minis walks right back in the lane. It's like, all right, I'm gonna heal that off with an auto attack. Not really too much, but it does give a lot of gold to Wild Joji. That should be talked about. Support items here in the preseason, they give way more gold generation than they did in previous seasons. So you're gonna get a lot more out of going for them, and especially Frost Queen's claim, if that's the eventual build that Janna wants to go into, even just with the Spell Thieves, you're gonna be thieving, stealing a lot more gold than previously. So getting a lot of that, and of course overall, that's the micro. Let's talk about the macro. How is this game developing for both teams as far as what they want from the lane phase?
They've been focusing heavily on the top side, of course, but however, as I mentioned, for mid, it has been mid-centric most of the time. A lot of the big fights were happening on the red side jungle, red team side jungle. We saw that 2 kills coming out where Anivia picked up a kill and assist over there. We saw a lot of games happening in top lane. I'm not sure if it's the right choice by Elise at this moment with that Malphite being in the top lane, which is his biggest utility in team fight is his ultimate, not really much his sustained damage. So
this is going to be ridiculous when you see Xrangel walk in. Last guy I actually got a chance to see play AP Malphite was mid lane. I think Alex East used to be a big fan of running that mid. And it was just like, hey, you see hero, you kill hero. It's their standard strategy. But at least in this situation, you still have to play your matchup, but you also have to come into team fights and make those wombo combos work. That's going to be the combo we're talking about. Nidamoo coming in for the 3rd kill of the game for Israel.
Yeah, that Malphite ult, it hits instantly. Like, he knew Elise was there. He saw her walking up. He put the ward right there in that brush in the top lane to see if Elise was lane ganking, but could not react to Malphite ult fast enough. Did not have flash. Had to die there.
Yeah, you could see he was like, I wonder if their jungler's top lane. I should probably check for that. And Xrangel is just like, okay, I'm just gonna ult you. And turns out, what do you know? The jungler's right there, able to turn that around into a kill. And for as much mid focus as we've seen this game, Gay coming down top lane has actually been kind of par for the course. We've seen a lot of focus up there as well. And it's nice to see Israel coming out with a lot of strength from that jungle top lane synergy.
Yeah, trying to put this Gnar down so he does not become the split push thresher. You see him building a lot of MR in terms of itemization, not going for that block cleaver right away, and actually went Merc Trez and now for more actually MR, so.
Right, traditionally we see Gnar build very aggressively early on. Used to be that you could build like whatever early aggressive item that you wanted, however now it's pretty much Black Cleaver. but nice to see that Xrangel is getting so strong that Gnar is unable to identify purely to itemize purely offensively. Has to go for those tanky items a little bit ahead of schedule.
Yeah, and it sees his mentality in his laning right now that he's just trying to survive. Like usually if you're trying to get MR as Gnar, especially that Gnar Rumble matchup just because how strong it is.
Flash forced out there, Shockwave going back to his turret. Koala with a hat able to show up once again. It's like Koala runs into your lane, you're like, oh, how cute. But as soon as you see a Koala bust in with that hat on, you're like, oh my gosh, he's wearing a hat. Better flash back away. And Shockwave's able to get out of there alive, but it would cost.
Yeah, like I was saying before, like when Gnar was usually laning against an AP matchup, he usually rushes Hex Shrinker. But here we see Spectre Skull coming out, so he's trying to play way more defensive.
Yeah, usually you'll see, like you said, at least 1 or 2 offensive items early, even if you don't complete like a big 3rd tier item. Hex Drinker, once you do upgrade it into Maw of Malmortias, it did inherit the healing passive where you get Spell Vamp and Lifesteal from Gwynsu's Rage Blade, so a few more extra stats coming in there, but not itemizing it as aggressively as that would have been. So, like you said, yeah, a little bit interesting. Now, to be fair, especially with the Aegis of the Legion rushed right after the tanky build there on Koala with the hat, it's not a big mystery what type of damage Israel is going to do. They've got AP top laner, AP jungle, AP mid lane, AP support, and, well, no AP on Lucian, but when you're facing that much magic damage, turns out building MR against it, even this early on, is going to be very, very effective.
And you see with the itemization of Rek'Sai here, he went with Cinderol, Koala with a hat, instead of Warrior Enchantment, where we see a lot of junglers who play Rek'Sai going with ever since the Warriors buff that happened. But trying to be more tanky, trying to be more of a peel in team fights and try to survive a little bit more.
Right, and I think that is a big recognition there for Switzerland. They're saying, hey, they've got a Malphite. If he all-ins us and we're too tanky, then he's just gonna, teleport himself into the middle of our team and die immediately afterwards. So I'm actually kind of surprised, like you said earlier, Justin, that we didn't see an Abyssal Scepter rush here from Xrangel, because he knows he's going to be taking that damage, might as well deliver it right into the team, although it looks like they're going to let Shockwave pick up that Abyssal Scepter. But now all man engage on into the jungle. Midamoot a little bit of struggle. Can they turn this damage back around onto Koala with that? So tanky, but is it going to be enough in time? Midamoot will go down. There's the Frostbite kicking in, but a laser coming back in there. Shockwave might be able to grab himself a kill. Going to get a little bit of shield off that power transfer, but is there enough damage coming in from Lucian? Going to flash on in there, dash on out, and that's going to be another kill for Israel. There's the culling coming out. It's going to almost snipe Laggily, but Summoner heal in time and the flash. Actually, no, Laggily didn't flash. Summoner heal used to save his life, and Anivia will escape alive. Turret about to go down there. Will we see a kill? Mega Gnar forced out there. No ult for Xrangel. He's going to save his turret just in time.
Yeah, he flashed and healed Caitlyn, but I don't know if that was necessary. Anivia had her passive up at that moment, so I don't know if blowing 2 summoners to save that was necessarily good choice.
That's just the support AD carry. We're just like, all right, I got a healing spell. Let me flash summoner heal my mid laner, even though he's still got egg. I don't know. It was still effective. Able to keep Laggily alive.
Like, I got you, man. I got you.
You gotta inspire that team trust. Like, you can't just leave him hanging. You gotta go for the utmost and make sure he knows that you got his back. So now we're thinking about Dragon. Trying to run up into that objective. Looks like Midamoot already starting it out there. Traditionally, you want to let those spiderlings tank things up. And yeah, there it goes, re-aggroing. But with Victor roaming down, this is probably going to be a free objective for Israel.
Yeah, first Dragon, they probably had Team Switzerland probably had a control over that bot side even more. They should have had vision over that, but they didn't. Since the top, and then now they're going to lose bot turret right away. So very good objectives taken from Team Israel, right?
Yeah, Israel with some great rotations. They were able to say, okay, well, we fought this big fight in our jungle. Now let's come back and let's make a plan, all right? We're going to walk mid, take that turret. Walk bottom, or rotate bottom, take that one as well. And, oh, man, top lane. Now we can see if Xrangel can still fight this matchup. We've seen another aggressive item built there by Gnar, so he's feeling a little bit less pressure, comfortable with playing that more aggressively.
Yeah, so Xrangel, or is XR Angel? XR Angel did finish his Leandries. So he does a little bit more damage now. Not sure how tanky he's going to be against this Caitlyn, who's 1-0 and has almost 200 CS. Once she gets that 2-core item, it's going to melt through that Malphite. So.
I mean, Malphite just in general will melt pretty quickly just based on very few tank items. Now, one of the first tank items coming out there in that Giant's Belt, and actually not going to... Okay, so that's the first item, Leandry's Torment on Malphite. I don't see that one too often. Why is that Leandry's on Malphite?
No, I was just talking about that. I'm not completely sure. Like, ever since that Haunting guys that came up, I decided, oh, he maybe knows this matchup better than I do, so maybe that's what's gonna happen. Probably do a little bit more damage in teamfight with ult if he hits it very well, but not sure what he's thinking here.
I was like, wait a second, what is that item doing there? I mean, to be fair, it does make his Q much stronger as a poke skill because it's going to slow you, it's going to deal that double burn damage from Leandry's. So, I mean, it's a great Q spell, but oh man, what's Min doing? He's a little bit caught up there. Forced the ultimate. That is a really good wall to zone out there, Laggily. Really punishing Min for being a little bit out of position.
Yeah, it's huge that they just blew Alistar ultimate, so now they can dive them without being fearful of undying Alistar. And Malphite, as mentioned before, is not very tanky at the moment. The only tank item having Giant's Belt, looking like a same situation right now, and he might actually go down this time.
Yeah, big engage though on his backline. Caitlyn dying immediately. Great Malphite ultimate, but with the jungler, with the support, again, it's a double kill for Laggily. And now, oh, X-Angel not in a great spot. Yama able to lock him down there towards the end. Great cleanse by Shockwave. He's able to get away from that Anivia stun, and man, just beautiful catch there onto Alistar, following up on having blowing his ultimate earlier, able to convert that into a kill.
Yeah, and they're gonna take tier 2 turret off of this too. Great usage of walls again and again. This entire game, this understanding of Anivia is very strong, I feel like.
Pretty incredible to see Anivia just pack that much power into the mid lane performance. Talked about the early weaknesses, still needing that tier Rod of Ages to stack things up to get that power going. Now that we're 23 minutes into the game, we're starting to see where that power is coming from. Just pretty much endless mana there. Whoa, okay, that was a little bit of an interesting interaction between Tornado and Wall. It's basically just like the MC Hammer build. You got to stop before you
hammer time.
Yeah, you can't touch that through the wall, through the tornado. It's like it's a lot of weather patterns in your way.
Weather patterns, okay.
Not unlike the weather outside right now, Justin. I feel like the Anivia pick is, they know that it's snowing here in Seoul, so they're just like, hey, let's pick some thematic champions. Got to get your Freljord going on there.
Then I wanted to see a full Freljord comp, but I guess only the thing we're going to see is Anivia. But
you see that full Freljord comp when you walk outside and you realize there's actually snow everywhere. So if I was like, a super alpha nerd, I'd go out there and do some cosplay, drop some lore on some people. Unfortunately, I'm just going to stay in here and cast some League of Legends. There we go, Koala starting to get locked down. Turns out he's ridiculously tanky.
Yeah, so we just saw the 4 people moving up to the top lane. Rek'Sai ulted, trying to maybe cover that lane, trying to save this tower, but realize there's too many people out there. But then Team Janna's here, now Nar's here, so they're going to be able to defend this turret.
All right, so Banshee's Veil, the purchase there for Gnar, able to block the effectiveness that Malphite has. Able to throw. He's thrown his Q out for that harass. Turns out, that's not gonna cut it. I mean, it's gonna cut it there as X-Angel runs back away. But it's interesting to see the way that this early game transitioned into where we are now. Malphite pretty strong early, able to get a lot of poke, a lot of damage off those all-ins. But now he's actually transitioned into a tankier build with things like Mercury Treads and a Giant's Belt. Kind of confusing what kind of identity we're expecting to see here from Malphite.
Yeah, Gnar and already built Banshee's Veil and managed to finish that. Oh,
big 3-man knockup, trying to come back in. X-Angel not with a great Malphite ultimate, although it will lead to the destruction of 2 members of the Swiss team. Look at that gravity field, absolutely massive from Shockwave. But the rest of the Israeli team disengaging for now.
Yeah, since Caitlyn didn't die there, she can still put tons of damage into the battle line. Anivia's still alive.
Oh no, X-Angel getting stopped from his recall. A couple more auto attacks to take him down, and just trying to stop these recalls coming out from the Israeli team. They need to get back to base. They need to come back and defend the 2nd-tier turret, but they just might not be able to in time. Milamu going in, another big knock-up combo. Anivia knocked into her egg form. Min very low, and it's Yama to take him down. Shockwave cracked very, very low. Ooh, but they're not going to go down. Teleport in from Angel. He's going to come in, but it might just go right back out of there. He's back to the other side of his turret. Yama jumping in onto him. Yama with a killing spree. Taking down the Malphite off the buy and die.
Yeah, it was a great headball pulverized by Alistar in the first team fight to get those 2 kills, but Switzerland still comes out ahead because Caitlyn is still there dealing damage from that backline with Anivia and Gnar still living, so all the damage output is still there. So even if that won that team fight, they had to back off that turret, they had to give it up, and ended up...
Oh no. Do not face check that. Kraken's such a trouble. And that's just going to be 2 insta kills. A double kill, actually. Really impressive to see Pride take that one down. And I can't even say any more about that. Just bait the bush and very effectively used there by Switzerland.
Yeah, it seems like Israel's tilting a little bit after that team fight. They thought they won it, but you know, the damage coming out from range champions still too much for them to handle. Alistar tried to turn it around, but great Gnar ult, especially as I talked about before, the zoning potential of that Gnar ult allowed both Anivia to stay longer in her passive and not die, and Caitlyn to just deal damage, just auto that back line to build an obliterate them. Tongue twisted right here.
I was going to say, it's complicated words. How do you speak? What are words? Big questions.
English hard too. Much, very.
All right, well, Dragon will be taken down as well as Baron, so a really big snowball starting to roll here for Switzerland. Pretty even up until that turret dive situation we saw up top, but even after the engage that led to a 2-for-0 exchange, Israel just got 2 chunked off of that and then just teleported in and died and then gave up both objectives, so a little bit of a rough spot right now. Definitely some time to come back from this if they can just stall out for a while, but you were talking about the inevitability of this new Caitlyn that's so strong right now. There's 3 core items completed and just very difficult to deal with.
That is the biggest power spike that Caitlyn has. Caitlyn is probably just strongest champion in this game right now, but what that means is that she's the main damage dealer and maybe the only damage dealer other than Nivea, and both of these champions with a good Malphite ult and good engage from Alistar with a headball pulverize, once the flash is back up, he can flash Q. If these 2 champions die instantly, they can still turn it around. Israel still has a chance with 1 good team fight.
Right, that's always true with Malphite. The wombo combos that Malphite sets up, pretty much second to none. I mean, we used to see combos between, like, Curse of the Sad Bullet Time with Misfortune and Amumu, just going for those big wombo combos. Well, Malphite kind of does the same thing.
Yep.
You just ram it straight into the 80 carry and just like, hey, turns out you're gonna have a bad day today. So we'll see if X-Rangel can set up for one of those. It might turn it back around for Israel.
Pretty disappointing that Malphite X-Rangel blew that teleport trying to get those kills at the top lane. If he had teleport right now, he could TP back into the back line and try to engage on from behind, which is the biggest aspect and for Siege comp is towards your flank so you don't get engaged like that. But it seems like Team Switzerland is doing a very good job of it.
Now, to be fair, Victor does have some pretty crazy wave clear. Maybe not quite as crazy in face of these Baron buff minions coming in, but if they can just wave clear long enough maybe for X-Rangel to get that teleport back available, he's got about 20 seconds left before that comes up. If they can defend long enough, then he will be able to get that big flank opportunity coming on. And to be fair, this wave clear is actually pretty impressive from Shockwave. Israel able to defend their mid lane turret for long enough to push the Swiss team back into their own jungle.
Yeah, but with Baron, they can rotate just spot right now and just take that turret again. So it's going to be the story for a pretty long time. Just rotating, trying to take turrets out. They need to flank. They need to get a good initiation on that Caitlyn and Anivia right now.
Oh, possible engage. There's Min going in. He's going to grab a 2 or 3-man knockup. There's the Malphite right in onto Pride. Pride taking a lot of damage, but he's actually safe and sound out to the back. X-Rangel chasing him down. He's going to be able to kill off Caitlyn, flashing away. Is Pride alive? He does stay alive. Wild Joshi in there as well. Ace in the hole on Aminamud. Going to capitalize on that with a kill for Yang, and now pushing back in Yama. Rather,
so both Mensah and X-Rangel, they did what they were supposed to do in this team fight. However, it was the team synergy that mattered, and it was the timing. Alistar went in too early. Malphite was still back in base. He walked up, tried to flash ult again, but there was no damage follow-up because Victor was not there, and Caitlyn survived with barely enough health to live. and they just got cleaned up afterwards.
Oh man, just heartbreaking to see. And even after that fight, so crazy, so low health there on Pride, almost back up to full again. Wild Joshi, that disengage, Monsoon, is just the perfect ability that you want to have here. It's like an AoE Lee Sin kick. It's like, get off my 80 carry, nice protection there, and able to just barely help Pride stay alive. And after fights like that, that has to be heartbreaking for the Israeli team.
This team has, again, a lot of zoning potential and a lot of peel from Janna, Anivia Wall, and Gnar ult. So it's really hard to get to that backline of Caitlyn and Anivia. So they're doing it right. They just need to time it better.
All right, well, now we get a little bit of a breather here. 13-7, not an insurmountable gold difference, but the 10,000 gold is that's a mark we passed a few minutes ago. Now, to Israel's credit, they are still trying to be competitive here. They're trying to contest their own jungle. They're not just stuck in their base walking around. They do have an inhibitor down, but with that strong Victor wave clear down on the bottom half of the map, he is able to deal with that wave as it pushes in. So the big timers are going to be the ones that just showed up on your screen. Baron, 2 minutes, Dragon, 1.5 minutes, and those are going to be the objectives that Israel might just have to contest in order to stay in this game.
To Israel's credit, they have 2 dragons while Switzerland only has 1, so they do have that dragon advantage. So even if they lose the second dragon, it's not going to matter that much. Just, like I've been saying over and over again, they just need one good team fight. Get all that damage out onto Caitlyn when she's CC'd hard by the Malphite ult and the Alistar engaged. So.
And that Crystallize is huge. Traditionally not a spell that a lot of Anivias will level very early, but as the game draws later and later on, max level Crystallize is actually a giant wall that you just put up in front of everything. Now, pushing forward for this middle inhibitor, you can see that Crack actually just does 0 damage to Rek'Sai. So tanky and just not able to be an effective AD carry, tank killing. And the inhibitor is just going to fall as a result of that. The second inhibitor of the game being taken here by Switzerland. They're poised to crush through onto a third one up in the top lane, and it's all Israel can do to keep Switzerland out of the base. They're trying to make a play there onto Koala with a hat. It's just going to tunnel backwards. He's safe and sound, but this upper third inhibitor is not quite so lucky. See Caitlyn putting out some sustained damage there. Cocoon used to try to lock down Naru is just going to be walking forward with impunity. Damage coming down still onto that upper inhibitor little by little. Switzerland taking their time pushing into the base.
Yeah, they're waiting for the right moment because it's all or nothing right now at this moment. They have 3, they're losing third inhibitor. They keep getting poked out like this. There's no way they're gonna win. So they're just looking for that opening right now where they can get a good ult, at least on Caitlyn.
Yeah, Caitlyn will be a very strong focus point here for Israel. They just need to malfight the Caitlyn. If you're able to do that, you lock down you prevent so much damage here. There's the flash, the pulverize, but Min can't get it. Rage for the headbutt back into the enemy team. So Min in a little bit of a rough spot there. X-Rangel doesn't have the sort of Bash Brother combo in there to go in with. Min might actually die. There's the chilling smite. Not going to go down. Okay, there's the flash and Koala with a hat. Able to do the utmost. He will pick up that kill on him. And Israel having struggles defending their Nexus. It will go down, and this is going to be a 14-7 victory for Switzerland over Israel.
Yeah, great game coming out for these teams. I really like how both teams tried to utilize their team composition to the fullest. Switzerland with the Caitlyn coming out in the end just because of the late game scaling and how much damage she did or how she went through the early game phase without any trouble. So good job.
And you can see it right there on your screen. Switzerland cool, calm, collected, ready to go in here to game number 2. So stick around and we'll be right back with game 2 as Israel trying to come back versus Switzerland as the 7th Esports World Championship here continues in a minute.